बट एटलीस्ट जनरल चैट में तो मत लिखो।
अरे वो भी थोड़ा मिस्टेक हो गया।
Ready? Okay, guys, we're starting off with comms. We're starting off with our TTP on radio communication. This has been, I don't know, inspired by the fact that I believe last operation we had a lot of comms issue, although I was not a part of it, but then the feedback made that relevant. First off, understand that radio net is always dictated by organization. Okay, so whatever is the organization of the force, it will dictate the organization of the radio net. Okay. So normally speaking, as we've discussed earlier as part of our TTP on squad movements, a normal organization of a platoon would include a platoon with its 3 to 4 squads, the platoon HQ, and any attached elements. So first off, let's look at the outline radio net of the platoon itself. So what you see in front of you are the elements that you expect in encompassing a platoon itself. So you have the platoon and the headquarter, the platoon headquarter. Within the platoon, you would have various squads that is, say, for example, 1-1, 1-2, 1-3. You may have some attached elements such as armor or some attached elements with the headquarter itself that we will look at in the next slide, such as the JTAC or any special weapons oblique motors attached to the platoon. Okay, so the idea of the radio network is to share information vertically, that is between the platoon leader and the squad leader and the fighting leader. So that is a vertical hierarchy, going from senior to junior, junior to senior, and laterally would mean between squads. So squad leader of 1-1 might need to share something from squad leader of 1-2. So this is this is horizontal or lateral sharing of information, and this is vertical sharing of information. Any questions in what is vertical and lateral sharing of information? Okay, so to share that information laterally and vertically, you may have either separate radio nets or you may have the same radio net. When it comes to the platoon, for squad leader of 1-1 to share something with squad leader of 1-2, that is to share it laterally, he would use the platoon net, because squad leader of 1-2 is not going to be on squad leader's 1-1 or 1-1's radio net. Similarly, if the platoon leader has to share something with the squad leaders, he would use the platoon net for that. So the green outline that you see is what denotes the platoon net, and generally what it would who all need to be on the platoon net. So all the squads, of course, and any attached elements with the platoon. Keep in mind, attached elements with the platoon and not the platoon headquarter. Okay, so I'll pinpoint the difference in it later on, but for now we are sticking with the example of any armored elements attached with the platoon. So the armored elements would be on the platoon net to monitor what the platoon is doing, because ultimately the armor is to assist the platoon in accomplishing its task. Okay, now this was with respect to the platoon. Now within the squad itself, you need to have a separate radio net, because of course the 10 guys in a squad need to talk to each other. They need to share information, and it is better done over a radio than to send a runner to get that thing done. So the squad itself would have its own net. Here, for example, I've denoted as 110. What we do is I think 6-9, and then 12 is 7-1, and 13 is 7-2. However, I find it much more feasible and easier to remember that 1-1's radio net is 110, 1-2's radio net is 120, 13's radio net is 130. Understood? Right. Now within the squad, there are 2 fire teams, as also we've discussed earlier. Normally within the squad, communication on the radio should be happening between the fire team leaders, between themselves, and between the fire team leaders and the squad leader. The fire team itself has 3 more individuals as part of the fire team, but the communication within the fire team needs to be done over the local, over your proximity chat, and not over the radio net, because the first and foremost endeavor of every station on the radio net should be to declutter the net, or reduce the noise on the net, reduce unnecessary comms, because For the fire team leader, he has only one radio in his head. The squad leader only has maybe two radios, one for the squad and one with the platoon. When it comes to the platoon leader, he has 3 to 4 radios going off. He's got radio, he's on the platoon net, then he's on the platoon headquarter net. So here, for example, we call platoon leader as 16, so 160 becomes their short range, because often there will be communications that the platoon leader would have to carry out with his headquarter element that are not required for the entire platoon to listen on. He can make that communication over over the platoon net, but it is unnecessary. So like I said, reduce chatter on the net. Your first and foremost endeavor should be to reduce chatter. So he does his own communication with the headquarter on his own short range or internal net, that is 160. So the platoon leader has 3 to 4 comms going off in his head. So somebody at the fire team level might find it very, simple to communicate everything over the radio or use your radio as if you're talking normally. But understand that it has a cascading effect. If you do that, your squad, when you become a squad leader, you'll tend to do that. And when you do that as a squad leader, it becomes a problem for yourself, for the other squad leaders, and for the platoon leader. Which is why we have the distribution of various nets. So here within this slide itself, you can see 1 platoon net, 2 squad net, 3 armor net, and 4 the platoon headquarter net. Any questions so far?
Yeah, I got a dumb one.
Yes.
So let's say like the fire team has three people, like fire team A and fire team B have 3 people. So they are going to be on 110, or they are going to be on 11 and 111 and 112.
Okay.
Like the separate nets for the fire.
Yes. So a lot of squad leaders like to do the separate nets for the fire team, but understand that the concept of a fire team dictates that a fire team should never be out of local audible, as in they should never be out of earshot of each other. It is not feasible. One, it is tactically not advisable to spread a fire team so far out that you can't talk to each other without using the radio. The fire team leaders have to ensure that their fire team members are within earshot. That if he wants to talk to them without the radio, he should be able to do so. That is the whole concept of a fire team. 4 guys sticking together so that they are within earshot. That is how a fire team functions. A lot of people like to do separate comms for fire team, but that has certain cons to it. So say fire team Alpha spotted something. Now, the rifleman from fire team Alpha calls it out over the radio. Then everybody starts looking for that, contact. If a contact has been called out, then everybody starts on fire team Alpha starts looking for that contact. The fire team leader himself starts looking for it. After he spots it, he then calls it out over the squad net. Then the squad leader starts looking for it. Then the squad leader calls it out over the platoon net, so that the platoon leader is aware of the contact. So you see, it is adding one more step to the chain of vertical sharing of information. So had the same thing been done on the squad net, this would require a certain degree of discipline, wherein the fire team member, say the rifleman, can call it out over the radio. He can call it out over the radio if it is of that much importance. If it is like an imminent threat, the rifleman calls it out immediately over the squad net. Everybody on the squad is immediately made aware of it, and the squad leader can. The step is being cut down, so the time taken between the contact being spotted and the platoon leader being made aware of it has been shortened. Understood? So that is why I personally prefer not to have fire team comms, but it is a squad leader's discretion, and at his discretion, of course, you can split comms for your fire teams as well. But then it is reducing the situational awareness of the entire squad as a whole, because then the situational awareness is split between both the fire teams. So fire team Alpha sees something, they'll have to, communicate it with the rest of the squad separately, instead of that one guy calling it out over the net. It reduces the chatter on the net, having different comms of fire teams, but it increases the step in sharing of information, and then it also increases the time taken for everybody to react to it, and the situational awareness of the squad as a whole. Understood? Right.
Yeah.
So next thing, say you have two armor elements attached to the platoon. Now it can be very simple to have them just over the platoon net, and they can talk to each other over the platoon net. But what is how armor functions is, the armor is there to support the infantry, but armor needs to talk to each other as well. So if there are two armor pieces, they need to talk to each other to maintain all round security, to maintain leapfrog, fire and move, and to implement armor tactics. So had they been doing that over the platoon net, again, what would happen? They would clutter the platoon net. If some squad has essential information that needs to be passed to the platoon headquarter or to the armor element, that would get caught up within the comms of the armor element. So for that reason, they have their internal communication, and the crew itself has their internal radios. So say if one of the crew member needs to hop out of the armored of the vehicle and then carry out repairs, or one of the crew members needs to head out as an OP in case the armor has been given an independent tasking. So in that case, you require your internal communications with the crew. So a suggestive layout of the platoon is the platoon leader along the headquarter, and all the squads along with attached elements are on platoon net, in this case say 3-1. And then the squads have their independent radio nets, that is 1-1 on 110, 1-2 on 120, 1-3 on 130, armor on 310 and 320, and then platoon headquarter itself on 160 short range. This is your 152 that we use. Fire team comms can be done, but then that is increasing a step in the hierarchy, and it increases the time taken in transferring of information. If you have good radio etiquette, you would normally not go with independent fighting comms. Everything clear so far? Okay. We move on to the next slide. So when I say platoon headquarter, so remember I said there are attachments with the platoon, and then there are attachments with the platoon headquarter. So a small mistake or blunder here: mortars and special weapons, they are an attachment with the platoon, so this thing should have been here. But to showcase the same thing, the green still indicates the platoon net, the green box. So you have the entire platoon headquarter monitoring the platoon net as well as the internal short range. So when I say 160, it is for the platoon leader and headquarters short range. This is like their squad com. Like 1-1 has their internal squad comms, and then they're on the platoon net. Similarly, platoon and leader and platoon headquarter are on their internal short range, and then they are also on the platoon net. So examples of attachments with the platoon headquarter would be the terminal air controller or the combat controller, any special weapons that are attached to the platoon, such as mortars, or say an MMG or AGS detachment, or a vehicle, any other vehicle. So they would be on the platoon net and the internal. Now, the last aspect of when I say Arma gameplay is air. Now, air operation is not necessarily very intimately attached to ground ops. I mean, they need to be coordinated. Air needs to understand how the overall tactical plan flows on ground, and that is how air will operate. However, it is not required for air to constantly keep monitoring the platoon net to understand what's going on. For that reason, you have something called the JTAC and the combat controller. Okay. So air would have its own separate net. Now, there will be one frequency on which all the air related assets would be present on. However, that frequency would only be used in cases of emergencies, or to maintain overall situational awareness, or to make calls that are relevant to all the stations. So say this is called the terminal air direction net. अब इसमें क्या होता है? The terminal air direction net exists for coordination of flight paths and movement of different air elements and to deconflict the airspace. When I say deconflicting airspace, what that means is, say you have a motor section firing. Sorry, you have a motor section firing, or you have a maybe an artillery battery firing from somewhere. Now those rounds that are being fired from motor and artillery and high trajectory weapons are in the air. It does not happen very often, but it is highly possible that the trajectory of those rounds somewhere crosses the flight path of the air assets. You do not want that round being fired from the motor or the artillery battery hits one of your airframes. It is highly possible. It has happened in real life with people. That is why the TAD net exists, to coordinate flight paths, trajectory of high trajectory weapons being fired, and to maintain safety, security, coordination. That is for the TAD net. Generally, what I prefer is keeping it 80, and then the air assets get distributed their own frequencies, that it's 81, 82, 83. So if you have 3 air assets, they have separate frequencies. Now the JTAC can communicate with each of these air assets independently on these frequencies for specific tasking. For the overall coordination, JTAC is always present on 80. All these air assets are always present on 80. The motors and motor and artillery battery is also present on 80. At the same time, the motor and artillery battery should be in communication with the platoon leader, because this is a ground asset. This ground asset's fire can be controlled by both the platoon leader and the JTAC, or the combat controller. So JTAC has a dual tasking here, to call for fire and to control the airspace. The platoon leader has motor weapons on comms for calling for fire. That is his only relation with the motor and artillery detachment. The JTAC needs to be on comms with everyone to coordinate the airspace and, of course, call for fire. Any questions here?
What is the requirement of the 81, 82, 83?
Okay, so you have net 80. You can task everybody from 80 itself, but then again, same thing. It is cluttering of the net. Say there is enemy anti-air threat present in the area. Now the JTAC is talking to Air 1 over 80, and at the same time Air 2 and Air 3 are also present in the AO. Somehow the enemy anti-air engages one of the airframes using an IR guided missile. Now IR guided missiles do not provide a warning on the RWR for the pilot. So somebody has to actually call out that missile being fired. That call out will be made on 80. So if somebody is already talking on 80 and a third person jumps in and starts calling out smoke in the air, smoke in the air, smoke in the air, it might get missed. And if it gets missed, the airframes will not be able to deploy flares on time. They will not be able to maneuver to dodge the missile on time. So for such critical comms, the frequency 80 needs to be kept as free as possible. Okay. If you clutter up 80, important comms will get missed out on 80. For routine comms or tasking to the airframes, you can also have all 3 airframes on 81. That is also feasible. You can have 2 airframes on 81 and 1 on 82. That is also feasible. Okay, but you need to keep at least one frequency free for critical comms. Understood?
So a JTAC essentially is on 16080, and then in this case 8180.
Yes. The JTAC need not be on 31, the platoon net. He can be on platoon net to call out fires that are being conducted to the platoon. So what will happen is the platoon leader will task the JTAC to call for fire from either the motors, artillery, or from airframes. Okay, so the JTAC is taking his tasking directly from the platoon leader. What will happen if the JTAC is also monitoring 3-1 and actively communicating on 3-1 is these squads will start reaching out to the JTAC directly for fire. है ना? फिर क्या होगा? Everybody will want fire. सबको लगेगा, everybody will feel कि his contact is the most threatening and his contact is the most overwhelming and he needs priority fire. everybody will feel that way and they'll all start contacting the JTAC. However, that filter needs to be applied somewhere. That filter is the platoon leader. Platoon leader will take calls for fire from the squads, and then he will task the JTAC to call for that fire. If the JTAC is busy elsewhere, the platoon leader can directly call for fire from the ground-based assets, but not from the air-based assets. Why? Because the platoon leader does not have the situational awareness of what is going on in the air. The JTAC has the situational awareness of what is going on in the air, and he advises the platoon leaders on what is possible and what is not possible.
Got it.
Understood? So the JTAC is present on the platoon internal. He can be on 3-1, but that is only to call out important comms. He say the artillery is firing at a specific location and one of the squads is already moving into that location. So the JTAC can be present on 3-1 to call out, okay, 1-1 fire mission inbound grid so and so, you are east 200 meters, maintain your position. Or 1-1 danger close fire mission inbound your east. Understood?
Got it.
The only case where any of these squads would get on 80, any of these squads would get on 80, 81, 82, 83 is when there's a requirement of expedited close air support. Expedited close air support is you're about to be overwhelmed, you've been caught off guard and you need air support immediately. So what you do is you immediately reach out to the platoon leader, 1-6, this is 1-1, requesting ECAS, enemy platoon minus my east 50 meters, we are caught off guard, about to be overwhelmed. Or you have mass gas. Platoon leader will say, okay, hop on 80 to conduct coordinate ECAS. So 1-1 will get on 80, and at the same time 1-1 will mark its own location. If it's daytime, use colored smoke. So you will just say if it's daytime, you've taken 2-3 casualties, you have contact close within say 100 to 50 meters, and you need air support or you need fire support, you will mark your own location. For example, you pop yellow smoke on your location, you hop on 80, you'll call out, this is 1-1 calling out on 80, requesting ECAS, own location marked with yellow smoke at grid so and so. Contact is my east 100 meters, enemy platoon minus pushing me, requesting ECAS. So on 80, this is a critical communication that has been passed. All the air assets are monitoring it, the JTAC is monitoring it. Whichever air asset is the closest to assist that ECAS request will call out. The JTAC will say, okay, type 3 control, air 1 clear to conduct danger close gun run east of 1-1. Okay, at most he'll give the final attack heading. That is all going into terminal direction. But that is how radio nets are working. See, so for fire support from the artillery and motor assets or from air, you have frequency 80. For fire support from the armor itself, the armor is right next to you, like he is moving with the platoon. So it is very easy for squad 1-1 to just call out on 3-1 key, armor 1 requesting fire support, contact my east, your northwest, so and so, my location marked by yellow smoke. Even the armor can provide that fire support. The air can also provide that fire support. The motor or artillery can also provide that fire support. But it is the understanding of the squad leader and the platoon leader as to what would be the best form of fire support, the most intimate form of fire support, and most effective. Ideally, ECAS would be called by armor. If armor gets caught off guard, there are 4 to just say you have only 2 armor units and they are getting pushed by 6 armored units. They will immediately fall back and call for ECAS. Understood?
Yep.
Has everybody understood the broad layout of the radio net? This is only a suggestive radio net. Modifications to this can be made, but understand that you need to follow the principles. Principles are: do not clutter the net. Specific radio net for specific people. Like armor has their own specific comms, infantry has their own specific comms, squad has their own specific comms, air has their own specific comms. The motor and artillery, since they're involved with the airspace, they are present on both the platoon headquarter net and the TAD net. However, motor and artillery would not ideally be communicating much on 80, except that calling out their short time of flight and whether it's high angle or low angle. Right. So moving on to the last few key points, about radio communication. Understand first of all what the radio should be used for. Should you be using the radio to communicate to a guy next to you? Yes or no? Anyone?
Obviously,
No.
no.
Right. Should you be using the radio to communicate to anyone next to the person next to you? Should you be using the radio to communicate to anyone maybe 20
No.
meters from you? Right. So understand that the radios are for lateral and horizontal sharing of information. They are not for your chit chat. Okay. So ideally, it is vertically. It is platoon leaders, squad leaders, squad leader to FTLs. This is vertical transmission. Platoon leader to headquarter elements. This is lateral. JTACs to air. This is again lateral. Armor to platoon and within the armor units. Yes, radios are required because the armor guys sitting in two different vehicles cannot talk to each other by just shouting to each other. And that brings us to the question: do we need intra-fireteam comms? I think we've already discussed that. Next, you need to understand what is a net-worthy communication. Is what you're about to say. What you're about to say, is it required to be called out on the radio, or are you fine calling it out over the local? Hang on, guys, I got a phone call.
The famed intercom.
Server is not up yet.
Yeah, it's not. I accidentally read Armor as ASMR and I was like, what?
Okay, I'm back. Right, where were we? Understand what is worthy to be called out on the radio. Abhi jaise you are on a patrol. You see, maybe, patrol far, far off, say 800, 900 meters away. Yeah. And you know that you're in enemy territory. So you need to take a call. Should I call this over the radio or should I call this over the local? If you have your fighting leader next to you, call it out to your fighting leader locally. Ki, hey, FTL, we have an enemy squad northwest 900 meters, so and so. So then the fighting leader can tell the squad leader, okay, this is there, and the squad leader calls it out over the platoon net. Or you can also call that out over the radio. Now, something such as ki, you're covering say east, and you think your north is open, and you need to tell the guy next to you that hey, you cover that direction. Would you call that over the radio, or you would just go to and tell him, you look there, I'm looking here? So understand what is worthy of being called out over the radio and what is not. Say you take a casualty, you're engaging an enemy squad, you're conducting a squad attack on an enemy squad, you see one of your guys go down. Yes, you call that out to the radio. Okay, kill switch down, here and here. Okay, so that everybody is aware that kill switch is down and he does not get missed out when you're conducting your reorg after the attack. Lastly, there will be contingencies. There will be times when things will not follow principle. Things will have to be modified. Rules will have to be modified. But try to keep it at the bare minimum and understand when that is required. Take a call. Don't just hit caps lock and start cluttering the net, because it gets very problematic. Often the platoon leader needs to dispatch orders over the radio net. Often the squad leader needs to tell you things over the net. If you keep the radio cluttered, one, you will not get that order on time. Two, it will have cascading effect on the operation. And lastly, when you're talking on the radio, keep these 5 letters in mind: A, B, C, R, L. Okay, this is an acronym for accuracy, brevity, clarity, relevance, and logic. So accuracy, keep the information you pass as accurate as possible. Say you see an enemy squad, so you should call out that I see an enemy squad. If you see 2 guys, then you should not be saying you see an enemy squad. You should say I see an enemy buddy pair. If you see 4 guys, you call out I see an enemy fire team. Okay. Brevity, keep it short. Keep it short, as short as possible. you see an enemy squad, you can, one way of saying it is 1-6. This is a 1-1. I think I see something. Yes, I see an enemy. 1, 2, 3, 4. I see 10 enemies north off to our left side, northeast. They are, I think, 900 meters out. One way of saying it is this. The other way of saying it is 1-6. This is 1-1. Visual enemy squad northeast, 900 meters out. So keep it crisp, keep it to the point, avoid verbose. Think before you talk on the radio. Always think before you talk on the radio as to how can you keep it as short as possible. Next is clarity. Clarity, be clear on what you're trying to say. 1-6, this is 1-1, enemy, I see enemy. This does not make sense. This is not a clear communication. 1-6 understands that you see enemy, but he does not know where, how many, how close, how far. The other way of saying it is 1-6 enemy northeast 900 meters. It is clear. Okay, to the point. Relevance. So, say you see a rabbit or a snake going around and you start calling that out over the radio. That is not relevant communication. Okay? It does not concern you. It does not concern the platoon. So relevance, and lastly logic. Logic, I think everybody understands. Have some logic to your transmissions. Don't just say anything over the net for the heck of it. Like I said, the radio net is not for your chit chats. It is for operational related communication only. Understood? 3 slides. Any questions in these 3 slides? That is all from my side. The radio net layout here is suggestive, has been tried and tested. I know it works, so that is why I'm suggesting this. In case anybody has any comments, questions, concerns about this layout, please go ahead.
Don't think we have any.
I think the main issue with if you go to the first slide, the red box, the issue is the platoons are not in like the fire team. When they're divided, A and B are usually like on 2 sides of a hill attacking the target most of the times. We'll have like 2 squads, right? And then 2 squads would have like 10 people each, and they just bunch of 5-5. And then I don't think this will work for our scenario if the squad lead might want to.
Okay, so that is an issue with squad movements. That is an issue with small unit tactics. Okay.
That's fine. But we also can't have we also like let me finish my question. We also won't have 4 lead elements if we are going to break up with like 4 units.
Of course, if you have 2 squads, you have 1-1-0 and 1-2-0. That's it.
Right.
But for those squad corps,
given our recent scenario, right? We're getting 10 people in each squad. Like, so how do you expect us to manage that?
10 people in each squad. You have 4 people in one fire team, 4 people in one fire team, and then the squad leader and the medic. That is 10 people. Yeah. That's it. So 4. Hang on, let me just quickly modify this. This will answer your question.
You guys hear a beeping sound, or is it me?
I think it's just you.
That's you, my friend.
Check your fire alarms.
There
you have the voices.
Hang on. Share this again. Can everybody see my stream? No?
Yes.
Hold on.
Yeah, I can see it now.
Yeah, we can.
Oh, okay. Hold on. सबको दिख रहा है?
हाँ.
Yep.
Okay. So you said you have 10 people in the squad. हाँ, तो fire team alpha 4 guys, fire team bravo 4 guys, squad leader and medic 2 guys. That's 10. That is the.
मेरा क्वेश्चन ये था, वो लोग दो पहाड़ पे है, ठीक है? what is
They
the
should not be, na. They should not be, na. You're saying that
Yeah, you
Fireteam
say
Alpha is
they
on.
should not be, but the missions are being designed by us,
Ha,
bro. We're not in the
so,
army.
okay, Fireteam. Ha, so you're saying one Fireteam is on one mountain, the other Fireteam is on the other mountain. That is what
हाँ,
you're saying. Ha,
yeah.
so the
It's
Fireteams.
just not that. Like you're like kind of in a line formation, ठीक है?
Hmm.
2-3 पेड़ है लोगों के बीच में,
हाँ,
right? Let's
Fireteams
say
need to be. हाँ,
they
हाँ, ठीक
need
है,
to
go
be,
on.
yeah. In real life,
Go on,
yeah,
go on.
I get it.
Go on, go on.
But so if let's say there's a road in between, ठीक है?
Hmm.
And a squad was sent to kind of ambush that area,
Hmm.
whatever that is, wherever you are, and then
Okay.
they're like just trying to they formed lines and trying to get onto the road and ambush something. Right?
Mhm.
I know I've been through your ambush training. I know that's not how it should go, but they're trying to ambush something. Like,
Okay.
how are they communicating then?
Okay. Within themselves, like Fireteam Alpha to Fireteam Bravo is using 110. Okay. If there is something of, importance that needs to be called out for the platoon, the Fireteam leaders are also monitoring the platoon net. So the squad leader is on the platoon net. The Fireteam leaders are his 2IC and 3IC respectively. So Fireteam Alpha is the 2IC, Fireteam Bravo is the 3IC. They both should also have long range. And they both are monitoring 3-1. They both are not necessarily communicating on 3-1, they are only on listening. If the squad leader goes down, Fireteam Alpha takes over and he communicates. And so on for Fireteam Bravo. However, during an ambush, the scenario that you laid out, if there is something of such importance that needs to be called out on the platoon net, Fireteam Alpha will go ahead and say, this is 1-1 Alpha on 3-1. I see so and so. Okay. And similarly for Bravo, this is 1-1 Bravo on 3-1. I see so and so. And then 1-1 is this is 1-1 actual. Understood?
Basically, they just get spot promoted to the other lateral level.
No,
is that
they
what you're
don't
saying?
they don't get spot promoted. Okay, let me
For
fix
this
this.
scenario, like for
No,
those
this is not this scenario. The Fireteam leaders have to be on the platoon net. Sorry, I missed this out. The Fireteam leaders are supposed to be on the platoon net because the squad leader, it is very easy for the squad leader to go down. As soon as the squad leader goes down, the squad itself will get cut off from this net. That should not happen, and for that reason, the Fireteam leaders are also monitoring 3-1. Regardless of whether they have long range or not, you can have an additional channel on your 152, the short range radio, and they should always be monitoring 3-1. One more thing that I wanted to pinpoint on the slide is split your comms. Always split your comms. Arma is giving you the option of splitting your comms in your left and right ear and on both the ears. So that way you can effectively monitor 3 radios simultaneously and be able to differentiate as to which communication is going on in which net. So when I say Fireteam leaders need to be monitoring both the nets, same as squad lead. So you have the short range, your squad radio on your right ear, and you have the platoon radio on your left ear. So you know who's communicating where. Okay. I missed this out. My bad. Fireteam leaders have to be on the platoon net. They have to be. It is not a choice. It is not that they jump on the platoon net when the squad leader goes down. They always have to be monitoring the platoon net. This serves 2 purposes. One, if the squad leader goes down, the squad does not get cut off from the platoon. 2, if there is some orders that are being transmitted over the platoon net, it is very easy for the Fireteam leaders to listen in as well. If the squad leader has any addition to those orders or any modification to those orders, he can tell the Fireteam leaders. Otherwise, he can just say, okay, Fireteam leaders, you heard the orders. Please disseminate this to your Fireteams respectively. So then the Fireteam leaders go ahead and tell the squad, देखो भाई ऐसा ऐसा है, ये होने वाला है. Okay. Added advantages, if 1-6 is calling for 1-1 and for some reason 1-1 misses out that communication, the Fireteam leaders can tell the squad leader, yeah, squad lead 1-6 is calling for you. Okay. So that this green box should have been.
Won't this cause a little more, confusion regarding the squad?
Why?
For example, the Fireteam A is there. Okay. Fireteam A is there. They're on the platoon end. For example, let's say 3-1 given here. Correct?
Not all of them, just the
Not
2IC.
just the Fireteam leader.
Acha.
Only the Fireteam leader.
Sorry.
And that too is only on listening, and that too split your ears, split your comms. If you have both the nets on both the ears, तुम्हें पता नहीं चलेगा what transmission is being made on the platoon net and what transmission is being made on the squad net. I have seen people do this a number of times on the server. There is communication being taking place on the platoon net, and the guy is responding on the squad net. वो platoon net वाला बार बार बोले जा रहा है, do you copy, do
Ping
you
thing
copy?
only works assuming they also have long range, right?
No, you can have the additional channel on your short range, and you can also change the stereo settings of your additional channel. So if you have you're monitoring 2 channels on your short range.
Oh, I thought that
can,
was like all for all channels. Okay, never mind.
So you can have main channel on right ear, alternate channel on left ear, like that. Okay. Anything else?
I'm a bit confused about the platoon net is supposed to be 160, right?
No. So the 160 net is platoon leader and headquarters internal net. And then 31 is the platoon net on the long range. So platoon leader along with headquarter and all the squads and platoon attachments are on the platoon net. I suggest 31. We are doing it at 5.9, so that's fine. 160 is for internal communications between the headquarter element and the platoon leader. Say the platoon leader needs to talk to the platoon 2IC, or he needs to talk to the JTAC. Would you rather have him clutter the entire platoon net only to speak to the 2IC, or would you rather have him on their own separate net to talk to the 2IC? अब जैसे platoon leader needs to tell the
Like
2IC, hey, go on.
Go. Like the only problem I see here with HQ being on a different net with platoon lead is Zeus things. So when we this is a game. So when we need Zeus stuff, we talk to the squad lead, and the squad lead directly communicates that issue with HQ instead of saying, "Oh, platoon lead, my guy needs a wrench in his backpack; it's missing."
Okay.
And the platoon lead going through that. So that's one element which is missing here.
Okay. What I would suggest is you tell the platoon leader what is missing, so that for immersion's sake, only the platoon leader is in communications with the Zeus. Okay.
Let me tell you what will happen in reality, though.
Zeus, right? Night.
No, not according to this.
Touch with. No. Usually, also when we are playing, it's the platoon lead who is in touch with HQ. HQ is listening into the entire platoon net.
I don't know if it's been happening in the past
listen.
2 weeks, but it was not the case.
Listen. Here, when I say HQ, I don't mean Zeus. Okay. Zeus is free to monitor whichever net he wants to hear. You have the game chat to talk to Zeus. When I say headquarter here, I mean the headquarter elements, that is 2IC, JTAG, maybe a UAV operator, stuff like that. Okay.
So we've been assuming
So
HQ is Zeus.
No, HQ does not mean Zeus.
Yeah, that's what. Okay.
HQ does not mean Zeus here. Okay. Next.
Another thing is, usually when we
Before
have.
that, I think we have 2 people for a BCT also.
Okay. Last question. If anybody else, the last question. If anybody else wants to ask, just add to that question, and we'll finish this off in the next 5 minutes, I guess.
My question is, why is this the last question?
Because people have BCT. Charity, we'll continue the session after this question. Maybe Vedant can take away the people from BCT.
Like the overall layout, but my thing, my 2 cents are most of our communication issues come from planning issues. I think there should be overall training on planning, or overall discussion on planning. But I think this is all what we almost have. This is what we have in our minds. You've kind of formalized it. It's just in the heat of the battle, this just doesn't get applied.
Why that happens is people don't split their ears. You split your ears. You split the comms in your ears. You'll have absolute clarity on what net is being used for what transmission. Have a clarity on the hierarchy of passing information.
Could be one of those meetings that could have been an email.
Yes. This is one of those meetings that could have been an email. Split your comms. But understand the hierarchy of transmission of information. Understand what is lateral and what is vertical. Understand that a fire team needing to pass lateral information can be done over the squad net, and within the fire team, it can be done over the local. Understand that squad to squad comms have to be on the platoon net. If for any reason 1-2 is not responding on 3-1 or on 5-9 in our case, then the platoon leader or the other squad leader may jump on 1-2-0 to talk to that guy. It was to also institutionalize this concept that there is hierarchy of transferring of information. It is not like कि सबके लिए कुछ भी बोल रहा हूँ. Okay.
Just one point,
Yeah.
we can kind of later on discuss also and make this a little. It's not simpler. I mean, just because it's.
Also, I think these coordinates make more sense, sir.
No, it definitely makes sense to have 110, 120, 130,
Yeah.
160.
वो
5-9
5-9 पता है कैसा है? Like we used to have this
Yeah.
6-9 because it's a amazing number.
Nah.
तो 6-9 रेडियो होता था and we needed an alternate net. तो 5-9 और 7-9 बन गए थे उस समय. फिर धीरे धीरे वो हो गया. But this
anyway,
makes more sense.
Yeah. Go on, you were saying.
So the other thing is, I think Axis had feedback from the last mission that you were not in, where we had a 1-1 and a 1-2 active on ground. 1-3 was supposedly recon. Okay, and there was one armor. The armor was also on the platoon net, where there was all 1-1, 1-2, 1-3. Okay, and they felt that it would have been better if they were only in touch with the platoon lead and not getting chatter from 1-1-1 to 1-3. That was the main feedback from last mission. But now when Axis came in, he said this looks good. I don't know, but this is exactly what we had last time.
Okay.
It makes sense to have armor completely separated and not in connection with 1-1-1 to 1-3 unless there is a E armor requirement.
Yeah, so what happened, that depends on how the armor is being utilized. If you have the armor co-located with the platoon and moving with the platoon, then the armor needs to be on the platoon net to understand what is going on as a platoon. However, if you're using armor as a standoff fire support, wherein the armor is not co-located with the platoon, they are sitting on a hill, just putting down fire into the target area, and the squads are maneuvering into the target area. They are absolutely detached from each other. Then it makes sense for armor to maybe not be present on the platoon net. The reason why armor had issues being on the platoon net was, again, too much noise, too much chatter on the platoon net. When contact happens, when contact breaks out, all of these squad leaders here at least have this habit of 1611, we are in contact, yeah, blah 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 blah, unnecessary comms that can be minimized to squad level, and comms from the platoon leader that can be that can wait, or that can be kept concise, that can be dealt with by just adhering to your drills, adhering to your battle drills. Okay.
Understood. Then does
cut
Axis
down the
have
chatter.
anything over here? Axis?
Nah, no, I didn't.
Honestly, I think. Sorry, go on. Sure. You said no, right? Okay. Honestly, most of this stems from the objectives. Like, जो भी मतलब, as far as I am concerned, Reeves का mission छोड़ के बाकी missions में है. Like infantry and these are like kind of disjointed, ना? कि दोनों का objectives they either keep disjointed or मतलब they keep heavy focus on one part for those 5-10 minutes, and it feels weird.
I missed that out, Eric, but I was AFK. Could you please say that again?
It's just reiterating what you said, if they're close or not. But I think this part also stems from mission design, to be fair. Like something shouldn't have like both elements engaging at the same level or something.
BCT कौन ले रहा है?
I got a stupid question.
ले लो.
No question is stupid.
There are no stupid questions. So here's the thing. Let's say in my scenario, like what happened in I think the previous op, where the server was reset. There was a previous one, right? The one on the Sunday, I think. So what happened was, we were in the fire team. We were in 1-3 fire team. It's something related to that, so I'll just put on it. Fire team A, correct? and we are on 1-3. So like let's say 130 net. The squad lead is on the HQ frequency 331. Our SL is down. Our medic is down. 2 people are left alive. Correct?
1 second. Panda, is this Dubai's mission where we are assaulting like you were with me, you gave me your bazooka and shit?
Yeah, something like yeah.
Okay, okay. You guys joined
नहीं,
an hour late.
वो नहीं
and you guys were
वो नहीं कह रहा
let him complete the question.
मैं वो ये कह रहा हूँ कि जैसे हमारा एसएल मर गया, हमारा मेडिक मर गया, तो उसमें गेम वाइज एक इमर्जन ये था कि हमें दूसरी स्क्वाड को ढूंढना था. अब ये आई डोंट नो, मेरे स्टैंड पॉइंट से तो मेरे को तो इमर्जन लगा, बट मेरे को दूसरा स्क्वाड ढूंढना पड़ा, which sort of made me feel like, yeah, I'm a stranded soldier. My entire team is mass cast, and now I need to regroup with another team, and I need to report them what the hell happened to my team.
You are absolutely on the right lines. However, okay, to address this question holistically, a squad is only effective. A squad is only effective till the point it has at least 7 members. The moment you fall below 7, you need to amalgate with another squad. 6 is not a squad. 6 guys is absolutely not a squad. You're at that point a little more than a fire team, but not a squad. Okay. So your squad leader went down, your medic went down. One of the fighting leaders should have taken up lead immediately. That is why you have 2 ICs and 3 ICs. Okay. Your 2 IC and 3 ICs are your fighting leaders. Next, your 2 IC and 3 IC also went down.
Correct.
You as a guy know, you are aware that the platoon net is 3-1. So at that point, you should jump on 3-1, inform platoon leader that my squad is mass gas. SL, FTL, Alpha and Bravo are down. We are down to these many guys. Which squad should we attach to? Okay, at that point, the platoon leader will tell you, okay, you attach with 1-2. So then you will contact 1-2 on 3-1. Tell them we've been told to join you. We are coming to your location from this direction, and then you jump on their short range. So you switch from 130 to 120. Then
this was my main question. Yeah, the only 2 people are left. For example, the entire squad is mass cast, and 2 lone soldiers are surviving their own. Something around those lines.
Like, with all due respect, your entire squad was 4 people. And I revived the other 2, and the other guy disconnected. Like, I was the medic in the other squad.
I agree to that part, but that we joined very late.
That is a planning failure, na. So if you remember, जो हमने airfield वाला वो किया था, the last op that I was leading, I had 15 guys. So 15 guys में I could have easily made 10 guys का one squad and 5 guys का fire team. But then 5 is nothing. The thing that I should have done was maybe 7 and 8 guys. That would have made more sense. But then I didn't.
We had like 2 full squads of 9 people each. Okay? And these guys joined an hour late, and those 4 were like put together कि अच्छा तुम लोग आ गए मिशन में खेलेंगे तो तुम चारों जाओ
उधर जाओ, टैंक को संभालो.
वो मतलब 4 लोग हैं तो मर ही रहे थे. And their medic was their PL. D-Sing ही था ना. Their medic was their SL, and as soon as that guy got down and he just
also यार मेन्यू आपका कोई सीन है बीसीटी के बाद?
पता नहीं. आर प्लस बीसीटी लेगा उनके, वो दोनों अकेले बैठे हुए